This week on Hooligan Nation, welcome to the show. We're all about the concert attendance and the shocking numbers from holy shit. This week on Hooligan Nation, welcome to the show. We're all about the concert attendance and the shocking numbers from some of the biggest tours from the hottest band in the world. This is a can't miss episode. Prepare for your mind to be blown. Stay tuned, because you got
nothing to lose. Got nothing.
You wanted the best. Well, they retired. So you got two dudes in a garage.
Talking Kiss. Welcome back to Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Rocco. How you doing?
This week we discuss KISS tour attendance through the years, and quite honestly, a lot of the stats are shocking and baffling. We also have news about Rick Derringer and Metallica. We review new music by Alice Cooper and Doro. But first, got anything you'd like to add to our wonderful, incredibly fun review of Fraley's Comet self-titled debut album?
It was a great album. And you know, his solo album in 78, it was not as good as that album to that level, because you can't get to that level, but it was pretty damn good. And there was a lot of build up about it. I remember being excited about it. I'm going to see Ace Frehley without makeup, because you saw everybody else, and I hadn't, at that point I hadn't seen him without makeup, and I thought the video Into the Night was freaking awesome. Rock Soldiers is a great song. So I got nothing but good things to say about Fraley's Comet. It was fun doing that episode.
Yeah, I think that's a great album. I would agree with you. It's right up there, right below the 78 album. Trouble Walking, which we'll get to at some point, is really close to the 87 album also.
I dabbled in that. I didn't really listen to that full album.
I like Trouble Walking, but you know, I like the band. You know, and what's always important to me is that Fraley's Comet album aged well. News. You got any news?
Nothing at this time, no.
Well, it's a good goddamn thing that I do, huh?
Yeah.
This article / announcement comes from blabbermouth.net. Renowned guitarist and entertainer Rick Derringer died earlier this week at the age of 77, according to TMZ. Derringer's close friend and caretaker, Tony Wilson, revealed the news on Facebook that Rick passed away at 8:09 p.m. on Monday, May 26th. Rick died peacefully after being taken off life support Monday night. Derringer underwent triple bypass surgery just 2 months ago. Derringer was 17 when his band, the McCoys, recorded the #1 hit, Hang On Sloopy. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Derringer appeared on numerous albums with such artists such as Alice Cooper, Richie Havens, Todd Rundgren, and Steely Dan. Rick also recorded with Barbra Streisand, Kiss, Bonnie Tyler, and Air Supply. He co-wrote music and toured with Cyndi Lauper. Derringer discovered Weird Al Yankovic and won 2 Grammy Awards while producing 6 Weird Al albums.
Wow.
Derringer's productions and guitar solos of the Michael Jackson parodies on the #1 hit Eat It and Who's Fat remain Yankovic's most successful recordings. Derringer released over 25 albums, including several blues and jazz LPs. He contributed to at least one Kiss album, Lick It Up, by adding the guitar solo to the song Exciter. So I thought it was pretty important because he was on a Kiss album.
That's a good job by you there.
Well, thank you. Our condolences go to the
Yes,
Derringer
rest in peace.
family and
Rest in
all his
peace.
friends.
Yep, I second that.
Next up, I have this was mind blowing to me, so I had to put it in here. Metallica's self titled fifth album, also known as the Black Album, has been certified 20 times platinum
Wow.
for sales in excess of 20 million copies. That
Wow.
is some seriously rarefied air up there, especially for a heavy metal band.
Yeah, absolutely.
20 times platinum. 10 times platinum is considered diamond. So that's
Yeah,
like
they're in rarefied air there, definitely.
that I mean, look, it's a great album, but wow,
Yeah, wow is right.
that was mind-blowing to me. Music we're listening to. Got anything?
Nothing specific. I think I had mentioned to you. I've been listening to Don. Not I'm a big the George Lynch fan and all that stuff, and I've been listening to stuff by Don Dokken when Dokken broke up. So nothing real specific, but I've been listening to some of his own stuff that he had, and the guitar. I don't know the guitar player that he had, but it's some of that stuff's really good.
So what you're telling me is I got to carry you through music we're listening to also.
Yeah, why not?
All right. My back is starting to hurt.
I'll give you
Music.
that only if it's good. What do you listen to?
Oh, I got two treats. I got two treats because they're both new music.
Well, it was a good tip on Hailstorm. I still listen to that.
This one's going to be better. New Alice Cooper song, Black Mamba, marks the reunion of the Alice Cooper Band. It has a 70s feel, very good guitar work, but different than normal. Different than normal Alice music these days, but it's a damn good listen. It's the first single. As soon as you put it on, it sounds like the Alice Cooper Band in the 70s. And the guitar, especially for you, like there's no shredding. The guitar just kind of blew me away. It was almost a little Pink Floyd like
Ooh,
the guitar playing to me. I mean, what do I know? But
well,
it
I'll
was
definitely check that
trippy.
out. Nice.
It was trippy. It was
Ooh.
cool. It's definitely worth a listen. So hooligans,
It's a whole album, or what was the? There was a featured song, and then this
well,
whole album.
the single just came out, Black Mamba, but there's an album coming out.
Okay.
The second thing I have is Doro Perch, famous for being the lead singer of the band Warlock, has released a new single called Warriors of the Sea. Now, me personally, I love Doro's voice and her range. I listened to the song the other day and I listened to it again today. I think it's a really good song. So that's also a good
I'll check
song
it out.
and worth checking out.
Cool.
Now is my favorite part of the podcast. So jump on your pole and do a couple spins. No?
I gave you the drum roll.
So our poll for this week, for those of you that don't know, our poll is posted on our community tab on YouTube and also on our Facebook group, Hooligan Nation, a KISS-Centric podcast. If you're not a member of our Facebook group, slide over there and join it. And the polls are there either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I put it up one of those 3 days every week. And there is one up right now. Don't ask me which one it is because we taped too far ahead for me to remember. But the poll question for this week is, I hate the song I Still Love You from Creatures of the Night. The Rock over here, he loves the song and he believes that it's an iconic Kiss power ballad. Those are his words.
I do.
So we asked what you, the Hooligan Nation, thinks. Your choices were, I love the song, I hate the song, and the song is okay. Father Rocco, what do you think they said?
I think my thing was right. I think majority of the Kiss fans love that song.
So what did we find out by doing this poll? Well, unlike Father Rocco, I can admit when I'm wrong, and the Hooligan Nation has spoken, so I stand corrected.
Oh, wow.
Now, if we could only get Father Rocco to admit it's Neil Peart, my life would be complete.
Next subject.
Thank you.
That's not me
17%.
admitting that.
Oh, I know it isn't. I know you're not going to admit it. 17% of our hooligan nation said they hate the song. 31% said it's okay. And squeaking in with over 50% at 52%, they love the song. So I stand corrected. It's just me. I've always believed that Kiss fans didn't like the song, so I apologize. I'm
I
wrong. I still don't like the
I don't like
song.
it in concert. I think the concert version is what drives you crazy. But I just feel like it was like perfect on that on the Creatures album. I felt like it was a perfect point in the album to do it. But different strokes, different folks.
Yeah,
But that's
it's just,
interesting.
I hate the song. I think I've said this before also. Most of the reason why I hate the song is because I feel like it was driven down my throat all through the 80s at every concert.
Mm.
It was a big stop in the flow of the
It was
concert.
Paul's Beth.
Yes. Yeah. But it was always like dead in the middle of the concert. It was always long and drawn
You know
out.
why you don't like it? Because it was totally driven towards for chicks. It was a chick moment. But the ballad itself, the song, I like his voice on it. There's a lot to like. If you like power ballads like I do, I like a lot of different things. Depends on my mood, but I think it's a great power ballad.
I don't think anybody should listen to you because you like opera.
Listen,
All right.
I like to sing, and if you can't appreciate the vocal range of somebody singing opera, then you don't like singing. So that's how I appreciate that.
Oh, make no mistake. I don't like singing.
Well, there you go.
Dude, I don't even sing in the shower.
What? Everybody sings in the shower. What are you talking about?
I don't sing in the shower because I'll embarrass myself to myself.
Okay, that's a new one. I've never heard that.
All right, you ready for our main topic?
I believe so. I got my notes.
Hooligans, strap up because we're about to take a ride this week. Our topic this week comes from one of our most loyal hooligans and our unofficial research and development guru, KJ Nodwell, who writes in her email, I was on a website recently looking at KISS tour dates, specifically the Love Gun era, complete with venue listing, the breakdown of capacity, and the number of tickets KISS actually sold. She don't screw around. I was floored to see the staggering number of small venues KISS played during what is considered the apex of their career. We're talking auditoriums, 6,000 to 8,000 seats, sometimes even smaller, and more than a few times not even coming close to selling capacity. Indeed, the majority of these venues were in smaller cities, but not all of them. Even so, I was still very surprised by the staggering lack of attendance. There was a date in Canada at a 6,000 seat venue during this time, and they barely sold 2,800 tickets. Got me to thinking. I think, KJ Nodwell thinks, this is a clear reflection of their audience continuing to get younger during this time, and of course, not having the money for tickets. Or even more so, not being considered old enough to go. Parents hated KISS, so they certainly weren't going to take them. I've always considered KISS a band that appealed primarily to an audience of 12 to 15-year-olds during their heyday. Their core audience was definitely older early on in their career. And we all know as time marched on, it grew to include more and more children. Also, KISS was never a stadium act during their heyday, unlike The Who or The Stones. Of course, both of these bands had a primarily older fan base. I know KISS did play Roosevelt Stadium in '76. However, it is common knowledge that Bill Aucoin considered this concert to be a massive failure in terms of the number of tickets he was hoping to sell. First, what the band actually sold. He has gone on record saying years later that this shook him. Wow. Dude, there's a lot here to digest and dissect. And I think after we go through the numbers, we should be able to answer at least some of these questions.
Mm.
Was attendance affected by creating the KISS superhero thing and all the child age merchandise? Did KISS really care about this as they were selling records and selling tons of merchandise? And do tour attendance and record sales correlate when it comes to KISS? So that's what we're going to try to answer here.
Well,
And
I mean,
as I say, and I say this repeatedly like everything else, and I guess I should stop saying it, because if this wasn't interesting, well, we wouldn't put it on the podcast. But this was interesting to me when she sent me the email. I did respond to her email even before I did the actual homework of looking up the numbers. And my initial thoughts right off the bat was they got too superhero kitty like, and the, let's say, the older teenagers or the young adults started to dislike them because they were too kid friendly. But if you, once you dive into the numbers, I don't think that's the answer. I mean, some of these numbers, at least to me, were literally the most shocking. This may be the most shocking KISS topic that we've ever talked about here.
yeah, I mean, I was surprised when you turned me on to this. I didn't, you know. And by the way, thank you for doing the research for us. Again, you're a king hooligan, and hooligans that your input is very valued because, as you can see, KJ Nodwell gave us some input, and we're actually doing a whole episode on it. So your input's valued. If it's something that we feel is going to appeal to all of us in the community, we're gonna do an episode.
KJ, I've said this
Thank you.
before. I'll say it again. I appreciate the hell out of you. When I'm searching around trying to find a topic, a subject, an article, a video, an album, or whatever, and I click on my email and you come flying in your superhero costume to like make my life easier. I don't know how much easier you made my life, because I have been literally searching the internet since I got the email trying to find more and more information, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And before we even get into this, this is not a complete list. Uh, and it's not a complete list, and I'll use this as an excuse because some of the tours are not made public, and there was not as much info out there as I thought there would be. The lowest attendance for a tour that I could find, 1992 Revenge Tour. Revenge, number one, was a great album. It was a great tour. It was a tour that I went to. They were good. It was a good set list. And I can tell you, we talked about this last night. We had a production meeting last night, folks. I mean, some would call it a slumber party, but we had a production meeting last night. KJ was not here. But if I could get her to jump on a plane from wherever she is and start making production meetings, we can't afford to pay for it, but we would have her here. Maybe someday she'll get on a Zoom with us for a production meeting. We should work on that. We actually, both The Rock and I, went to the Revenge Tour together, and we saw them in New Jersey at Brendan Byrne Arena. And I can tell you right now that I do not believe that you could fit a little person in that arena.
Respect.
That's how full it was. Now, I do not have exact max capacity for Brendan Byrne, but I can tell you it's better than 15,000. So you have to take into consideration not a third of the arena, but usually there's like 20% of the arena seats that are blocked off. So let's say 12,000, just as a number, let's say 12,000 is max capacity at Brendan Byrne. There was damn near 12,000 people there.
I would wonder if every time they're going to a new city, they're playing the same size arenas, or
No.
they're playing in smaller places that have a lower capacity. The average on that is very, very low.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, if you have a 15,000 capacity, it just seems crazy to me. I've never been to a concert where there's been that. I mean, if you have that low compared to the capacity, it's noticeable. You can't not notice it. And I've never been to a concert where I noticed it wasn't packed.
You never been to a concert or to a KISS concert?
Kiss concert or concert. All the
Because
Kiss concerts I ever went to, they were packed.
I've been to concerts where they moved the stage up and they cut off shit. I went to see Judas Priest and Black Label Society
Hey, you were
in
telling me I'd never had that experience.
in the early 2000s at Brendan Byrne, where the arena was 2/3 closed. That I bet you there wasn't 3,000 people that were there.
Wow. See, I don't recall ever having that experience.
And I went to see Alice Cooper a couple years ago. I think it's Mohegan Sun in PA. I can't remember where right now, but that arena was 2/3 closed off, which I thought was great. For in both cases, I thought was great. I mean, I bought cheap tickets for both of those concerts, and Nita Strauss was 20 feet away from me, which is not close enough, but it's a start. I don't know, man. It there's no stopping. The second
I mean, you're giving the numbers, so give the number. I didn't put the number. So give the number that of the revenge, the average number
I
for
did.
for that tour. No,
I
you didn't say.
started. No, I did. 5,029 average attendance for each show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
5,029. You think that's crazy? How about Lick It Up? Lick It Up is next with 5,052. This, I think, is even crazier
Yeah.
than Revenge. I can understand the next one up, and we'll go back to Lick It Up, but the next one, Creatures of the Night, which is known to have been a bad tour, is higher with 5,350. I would think after Kiss put Creatures of the Night out, I can understand after Unmasked and The Elder that people checked out. And like we all think that that's why Creatures of the Night never sold well, because it's a great album. I mean, I think we can all agree out there that
Yeah.
Creatures of the Night is a great album. Lick It Up is a very good album, almost as good as Creatures of the Night, and that's what they followed it up with. And tour attendance got worse.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, that's
Yeah, you kind of wonder, like looking at that, is that bad promotion? Is that not the record company not doing enough work for them? It's weird to me because, like I said, I don't. I mean, in the '80s, concerts were cheap. It felt like I was going to a concert every other week, not just Kiss. And I mean, most of the time there wasn't a seat to be had. Like the opener, people would start coming in late, and there would hardly be anybody there for the opener. A lot of times, even if it was a good opener, a lot of times you'd see empty seats. But by the time the main act gets in there, there's standing room only. It's packed. Almost every concert I've ever been to.
dude, you're wearing a Metallica shirt.
Yeah.
So in 1991/92, I don't know which year it was, I got the ticket from you.
Oh, you're not gonna go there, are you?
I'm not going to tell the rest of the shit show story.
Crazy story.
I am going to drink out of my new Hooligan Nation tumbler, though.
I gave my front row tickets to see Metallica.
Do you remember how much the ticket cost?
It wasn't cheap, $100 a ticket, I think, for that one because they were close. Yeah,
No,
that back then that was an expensive ticket.
nope. It was a $60 ticket.
Are you sure? I thought it was
Yep.
more than that.
I paid you $60
Yeah, but I think I paid 100.
for, well, maybe, but
Yeah.
the ticket price on it was $60. So that, I mean, that's just to give the younger people
Yeah, and how
that,
much did you pay for when you just recently see Metallica?
oh my God. Yeah, but that's two concerts, and that was
That was a weekend, yeah.
that was three, four, that was like 6 or 8 bands all together. It was a lot of money though. Yeah, it was a lot of money. I don't remember, but it was damn near what you got there. That's not a cookie, is it?
That's all.
It's a pretzel.
Yeah.
Now
Well,
we're gonna,
wait. It's a nugget.
hey, whatever you do, don't break a tooth on your pretzel.
Too late. I already broke a tooth.
Next up, also shocking, Crazy Nights Tour, 5,691. You know, I don't know what to say. I really don't. I mean, yes, Crazy Nights is a dated album. Yes, Crazy Nights was, hair metal, but hair metal was the most popular thing in the world at the time. Kiss had I went to see this tour. I believe this was also Brendan Byrne Arena. This was a great stage show. It was,
I think I was with you at this, right?
I don't remember. It was a good set list. Kiss was active, was out there with videos. I believe Crazy Nights went platinum as an album. And these numbers are just mind blowing. Like, they're just mind blowing. And look, this list, it just gets more shocking and more shocking. Now, I don't know how shocked I am about the next one, which is Dress to Kill, 5,973 in 1975. It's pre Alive 1. I'm not really shocked about that one, I guess.
You know what though? It puts in perspective how hard it is to make money in the music business back then too, because you have all these people you have to pay and the record company, and if you're not doing good numbers, like also New York, Kiss is a New York band. They sell well in Detroit. There's certain areas, but when you do the average, there's a lot of towns that they're not doing good numbers.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, as far as Kiss being a New York band, yeah, I would buy that for Dress to Kill. I don't buy that for Revenge. I don't. Kiss is a worldwide
Yeah, no, I'm not.
band.
What I mean is, you would expect because they're from New York, you would expect them to sell out the Garden instead of in other places. It may not be as much of a big. I mean, they're a worldwide band, but you know what I'm saying. Like Kiss comes back home and they're playing the Garden, they're going to sell out.
Yeah, I would expect them to sell out New York, New Jersey area. Absolutely. I would bet if we could find numbers, New York, New Jersey
Spokane,
numbers.
Washington. What are they saying? What are they doing there?
What are they doing there? Not much. That's what I think they're doing there. Next up, Asylum Tour 1985-86, 6,181. We still have not hit a tour that to me is a respectable number. Animalized Tour 6,209, 1984-85. Again, this is not a respectable number to me. Here's a real shocker. 2016 Freedom to Rock Tour 6,395. Like, these are These are what we would call today summer shed tours. 6,000, 5,000. Like I was going to wait to bring this up, but you brought it up, which makes sense. Like we all have to remember, and those out there that are listening or watching us that are too young to remember this, before Napster, before streaming and all of that, bands toured to sell albums. Their goal wasn't to make money touring. Their goal was to break even touring. It was to sell records. That's where they made money. Now, we all know,
They had a good system with the videos, put out the video to tell promote
right?
the album. Yeah.
But we all know that today it's completely different. Bands can't make any money selling records, so they go out and tour. That's why ticket prices are so through the roof. What brings me to, I was listening to Eddie Trunk the other day. Shout out to Eddie Trunk. Love
Hey,
you.
dude.
And he was talking about Bruno Mars doing the residency in Las Vegas. The average ticket price is $450 a ticket. Are you kidding me? The only way you are going to get me to spend $450 a ticket for a 90-minute show is if you prop up Jimi Hendrix on the stage and bring him back to life. Are you crazy? I, let's move on.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Hot in the Shade tour. Great tour. Also saw this tour in 1990. 6,589 average attendance per show. Mind blowing. I'm going to
definitely
say
didn't
it
go to
over
that
and
tour.
over again. Mind blowing. Now, here's one. The Alive tour. 1975, 1976. 7,292. That's kind of understandable.
Yeah.
They put out the Alive record. You got to work the record, and I would expect that it jumps up, and I do believe, and it does jump up, but we're not there yet. The next one on the list is Alive 35 tour. That's 2008 to 2010. So we're encompassing 3 years. So that tells me that there's a lot of shows. 9,720. To me, and over again, like we don't know anything. We're not we were never in the record business, so maybe this isn't mind blowing for people who know. But to me, under 10,000 is a problem, and we just went through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 tours, and we have 2 more that are all under 10,000. Ready to get your mind blown? This one is Love Gun Tour. 1977, 9,476 people per show. Now, KJ said this in her email. This is like the apex. You know, Love Gun, Alive 2 tour, they're still under 10,000. Like maybe
Well,
I was young, and maybe and I was too young, 1977, I was 3 years old. But in my fantasy land, they're selling out football stadiums with 50, 60,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
70,000
saying. Like
people.
when you think of KISS, you think of arenas and stadiums. Like for at least for me, you think of that, but there's no way that they're not playing smaller venues throughout with those numbers. They're playing other venues in other cities that maybe are not they're not as high a demand, regardless of what era they're coming from, and they're playing a smaller venue or something like that, and it's affecting the numbers, I would think.
So you think this is based on capacity?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say here like that I know, but to me, some of those numbers that are that low, I can't see a band like Kiss playing a big venue that could fit 18,000 people and only selling it for 5,000 or less than 6,000 people.
And this brings up KJ's statement, and this also brings up my agreement of the statement. Love Gun was before they went commercially kid crazy. I don't believe that they went commercially kid crazy until Dynasty, with all the colors and all the, the capes and the superhero stuff.
It made sense though, like because I mean, when we were kids, I don't mean to go off track here, but when we were kids, they were our superheroes, and we liked the music, so it made sense for them to kind of like try to maximize the superhero part.
Yeah, it makes sense in the
Maybe not to Ace,
merchandising,
but
but it makes sense in the merchandising. Like, I understand that people have accused Kiss of selling out, and their response is, we sold out everywhere we played. That's not the truth.
no, not
I'm
by a long
sure
shot.
I'm sure they made tons of money on Hello Kitty Kiss merchandise and lunchboxes and, model cars and everything else, but it did not correlate to concert attendance, and it's mind blowing.
It definitely goes to show you that it's a tough business for a band.
If I was born in 1965 to 1967, holy shit, I'd be so much older than I am right now. Thank God I didn't. But if I did, I would have absolutely been to the Love Gun tour. Absolutely, without a doubt. So, all of those Kiss fans that were born in the, let's say the early to middle 60s, obviously they weren't all going. I mean,
You know what I'd
Kiss
like
is
to know?
Kiss is
Like,
selling millions of records by this time. Millions of
as I'm
records.
saying, their notoriety is through the roof.
And it's not correlating into concert attendance.
I got a question for the hooligans out there. Everything we do, our perspective is all swayed by our Metro, New York, New Jersey kind of roots. I would kind of want to know if you guys want to put in the comments and what area you're from, and if you when through your years of going to see Kiss, how many times you went to a concert and seen it not full in different areas of the country. That's actually something that really I'm really interested in that.
I like that. That's a good job by you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. A Live 35 tour, 2008 to 2010, 9,720 per show. Now, this does not blow my mind. And it doesn't blow my mind because, well, they didn't put out Sonic Boom till like 2009. So they had been touring pretty much continuously from like '04 to 2009 with no new music out. And I'm not knocking them, but with Tommy and Eric in the band. I don't, I can't recall off the top of my head how much, stage changes or costume changes, or really, to tell you the truth, I don't even know what the set list was because I had checked out at this time and I never really checked back in. We're almost, well, what are we, like 8, 9 months into this? I've never researched those middle years, let's say, until they started putting albums out. So this isn't that shocking to me, and it was probably a pretty good attendance to them. But next up is a shock, the farewell tour, and I don't care what anybody says. I believed that they were going to go away. The farewell tour, 2000, 2001. They finally break 10,000, 10,329. That's mind blowing to me too. Like you think in 2000, 2001, you're never going to see Kiss again. I'm pretty sure that everybody kind of read the tea leaves and knew you were never going to see the original Kiss again. And it's not higher.
Mm.
I mean, it's not higher than the next one, Dynasty Tour 1979, 10,523.
And wasn't that labeled the Return of Kiss? Like
Yeah.
the other, yeah.
Yeah. But if you look at all these numbers, over 10,000 people per show is a good show.
I'm going to put an interesting perspective out there, and I don't know what you're going to think of it, but when we did the point system for the albums from the top 24 studio albums, you know how like different songs brought the points down. Like I said, I venture to think that different venues are what really hurt this. I'm sure there were definitely some areas where they didn't even have to question it. They know they were going to sell it out. But then there were other areas of the country that's the part that fascinates me about doing this episode is just different parts of the country. You don't have that perspective of what we have because like I said, I don't think I've ever I know I've never been to a Kiss concert that wasn't packed. Even Newark, when we went to Newark and Tommy and Eric Singer, it was that version of the band. I mean, that venue was packed.
It was the end of the road tour. That's, roughly 15 years, the same band. So you have to believe well, we know they gained a fan base, and there's a fan base out there that Kiss to them is Gene Paul, Eric Singer, and Tommy Thayer.
Mm.
And that's completely understandable to me. So that doesn't shock me that much. And look, I agree with you that I don't think any band is going to sell the same amount in Iowa that they sell in New York City. I don't care what band you're talking about. There's
Right,
less people available in those kinds of areas.
right.
But New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Chicago, in Kiss's case, Detroit,
LA.
LA, all of California, I would think they have to be close to being sold out. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have done more research before this, but
But this is where we could use some help and from the community.
next up, 1976, 1977, Rock and Roll Over Tour, 10,868. So in 76, 77, this brings me to this. Some of this, especially here, could be over touring. 1976 to 77, Rock and Roll Over Tour. 1977, Love Gun Tour. And it's coming up, but a live 2 tour is 1977, 1978. How many times
Yeah, how many times? Yeah,
in a 2-year period from 76 to 78 can you keep hitting the same markets and there
that's a
not
good
be
point.
a drop? I mean, that's probably actually, if you look at Kiss through the years, they never went away. Never. There's a tour almost every year. And that may really be the answer that I literally just came up with
Yeah.
is
Well,
you,
and
you
they
know
were.
there
I'm sorry.
Creatures of the Night tour, then Lick It Up tour. It was the next year. Well, I just went to see them. Like kids, I'm talking 18 to 22 years old, even if concert tickets were cheap at the time, maybe they just couldn't afford to keep up.
Mm,
Like, and look, Kiss sold records at the time, and you got to keep feeding the machine
hmm.
to sell merch. But obviously, maybe, possibly, I'm going to say probably, they over toured.
But I
And
mean, like, I mean, they were a working band. They're popping albums out, and they just kept on going. I mean, that's probably what, early in the early days too. That's what burnt Ace out. I mean, Ace had a legitimate gripe. Like, I mean, he wanted to be a rock star and everything, but I think it definitely not everybody's meant to continue working in that environment for that long at that pace.
so next up is Lost Cities Tour, which is a leg of the reunion tour from 96 to 97, and that's 10,908, which it was called the Lost Cities Tour. It was smaller places, more off the beaten path. This does not surprise me too much. This is probably a product of your theory with my theory, or one of my theories together, which is they went places where there was less people,
Yeah.
and they probably played in some smaller arenas. I've never been to, and I shouldn't be picking on Iowa, but, and I don't even know if they played Iowa in the Lost Cities tour, but the smaller cities probably have smaller arenas, or they have big, huge stadiums.
Right.
So Kiss wasn't willing to go to the big, huge stadium, so they went to smaller arenas. Just my
Yeah.
theory and my guess.
I mean, honestly, it definitely makes for an interest. At least I don't know. Hopefully, it's going to be an interesting episode for you guys out there. But it definitely is an interesting episode as we're going through it because, again, my concept was always packed. So like, this is pretty interesting.
And look at it this way. If you're looking at us right now and you go, why am I looking at these two idiots on my TV screen or on my phone or on my computer? Look at the positives. We've done all the research and we're spoon feeding you all the numbers that you don't have to go look for. Destroyer Tour 1976, 11,073. Still too
So
low.
if you're like Brendan Bernardino, what did we say? Like 18,000?
Well, I mean,
Let's say 15,000 for your standard arena. Let's say
I
15,000.
I said 15,000, and I then took 3,000 seats away for stage obstructions in the back stage.
So I mean that 11,000 that doesn't seem too bad for I mean
No, yeah,
Destroyer's the legendary studio album, right? It's the most legendary studio album that they made.
well, it's what most Kiss fans, I think, believe is their number one album. You and I, not so much. I mean, I had
It's
it
only
at a
because it's
respectable
only
place.
grading on complete albums like every song. I mean, iconic songs on that album, absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess when you put it in that context of if 12,000 on an average was a sellout,
I
11,073 isn't bad at all when you consider not everywhere is New York. Not everywhere is going to seat 12,000. Yeah.
I would think that the people building up what numbers that they feel like they have to get, I would think that they would look at that as hitting the numbers that they want. I would think
Don't you guys
as a
like
whole,
this? Don't you guys like this? We're coming to our conclusions on the air while recording.
it's organic.
It is organic. I mean, we do this stuff kind of on purpose to come to these conclusions on air, but I wasn't
This definitely
expecting
would
this.
not. This definitely would not work. This podcast would definitely not work if we were privy to each other's information. It definitely works when we're kind of like just feeding off each other. I think better that way. Hurt anyway.
Beer. Next up, now we're getting into how many we have left. One,
Uh,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
9.
7, 8, 9. Okay, we have 9 left. Now we're into End of the Road Tour. That is the final tour, 2019, 2023.
A rough time in our lives.
It was put on pause due to COVID for, I think it was over a year. Average attendance 11,417.
That's still good.
I think it's good. What you said and what we came to puts the rest of these numbers in a really good place, I think. Like the rest of these tours, you can't look at, I guess you can't look at these arenas, especially in New York, New Jersey area, and think that every arena in every town or city is going to have that max capacity. And you have to consider how many seats get blocked that
Right.
they don't sell. So I guess the rest of these tours, so we can just end this now and I can go eat dinner.
I
Oh,
guess, man.
no.
And don't forget too, MSG New York. That's the world's famous arena, most famous arena.
Yeah, that's what people around us say. I have a feeling that people in like Des Moines, I'm going back to Iowa. I got to get off of Iowa.
Indiana.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that people in Indiana do not look at MSG and go, "Oh my God, it's the most famous arena in the world." Now they go, those damn New Yorkers think everything that they have is the best. It's just my guess. Next up, 1998, 1999 Psycho Circus Tour, 12,826. Now that is a respectable number
Yeah.
for a more than respectable album, in
Yeah.
my humble opinion.
Two great songs. Two really, really great songs.
There's more than two.
I'm not tasting. We went over that. I'm just saying two songs great, and the rest not as great.
Next up, hottest show on Earth tour, 2010, 2011, 13,456. Wow.
Nice.
Again, I 100% was checked out. I would this be, I don't know if this is what's after Sonic Boom that I can't remember. I don't know if this is the Monster
Monster.
Tour, and I don't know much about the stage show or the set list, so fire me. But sure as hell, concert attendance was doing pretty good at the time.
Yeah, say that again.
And this is not shocking at all. Next up, the Alive 2 tour, 1977, 1978, 13,550. Coming, it's the third in a row of very good
Mm-hmm.
albums, whether it be live or studio, and a constant touring, and that has the highest attendance of the three of them. That's a little shocking. That part's a little shocking. The fact that all them people went out for a live two is not shocking at all. Because if you didn't catch on to a live one and you came in around the live two and you put that on, I'm pretty sure the next words out of your mouth is, I got to go see this band live.
Absolutely.
Next up after this, in fifth place, a live worldwide tour, 1996-1997 reunion tour, 13,737. Now, I don't know about you, but the fact that that's not number one is what's surprising to me. And number one, for those of you out there that haven't seen any of these numbers and don't know, I promise you, number one is going to blow your mind
Mm,
because
yeah.
it
Yeah.
tied me in knots like, huh?
Yeah. I'm kind of like in that mode right now.
Right.
Looking at it.
Next up, World Domination Tour. This will become important when we get to number one. 2003 with Aerosmith, 14,629. Again, it's not the number that surprises me. It's the place that it came in that surprises me.
Mm,
because 14,629 is a lot of people in an arena.
2003.
It has to be almost every show on that tour had to be a sellout, should have been a sellout when your ticket price gets you both Kiss and Aerosmith,
Mm,
but still, it only comes in the fourth place. And next up, is this third place?
third
Third place
anniversary.
is the 40th anniversary tour, 2014, 2015, 14,827. Yeah, I'm clueless as to why this
Yeah, I
is
don't.
in
Yeah,
third place. There's no album to back it up. As far as I know, there was nothing major, incredible going on Kiss wise. I don't know. Some of this is fascinating. Well, all of this is fascinating, but some of this is mind blowing.
yeah.
Next up is, and here you go. I applause to the Kiss Corporation. Dan the Man, this one's for you. In the second spot, the Unmasked Tour, 1980, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. They never even toured in the United States for this. 16,442. Now, I believe Dan the Man is on record, saying that when Kiss dropped into Australia, it was like the second coming of the Beatles. And the fact that their average attendance was 16,442, I think it pretty much proves
The
that.
other thing is bigger venues
But was there?
in Europe. Yeah,
This is something you know?
I mean, everything I've ever heard about is that there's a lot of you got Wembley Stadium. There's a lot of bigger places there.
Kiss never played stadiums. I don't think Kiss ever played Wembley Stadium.
I mean, immediately when I saw that number, Europe, I'm thinking they just bigger venues, maybe less or less smaller venues.
I don't know. Dan the Man. Dan the Man's from Australia. Dan the Man is one of our most loyal hooligans. Dan the Man, are your arenas in Australia larger than ours here? Like,
Or are there smaller venues for them to play?
and the other, and I don't know that. I don't really know how old Dan the Man is. I'm guessing he's around our age, but Dan the Man in 1980, did you go to any of the shows
Hmm.
when they were in Australia, and were they sold out? Was it close? Was it, what was the percentage that was filled roughly? We're in a terrible market to really know what we're talking about here
Right, but you know
because
what, Dan the Man, anybody else, if you're from Europe, and you have feedback you can add here, definitely hooligan, step up and put it in the comments for us.
and finally, the number one tour for attendance, the tour 2012 with Motley Crue, and I went to this, 17,162. Oh my God. I look, I'm on record as saying I went to this show. I went to Garden State Arts Center in New Jersey. It's a shed. There was a lot of people there. I would venture to guess there was not 17,000 people there, but there was a lot of people there. It was a good show. I did not, it was the first time I ever saw in person, I ever saw Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer in makeup, and it did bother me. I was not a big fan of it. But Motley Crue was really good that night. Kiss was really good that night also. but I don't know, to be the number one tour ever, to be, I would think that Aerosmith and Kiss was a bigger attraction
Mm.
than Motley Crue and Kiss. I- I'm not taking anything away from Motley Crue. I'm probably a bigger fan of Motley Crue than I am Aerosmith, but I would think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that the totality, more people would be Aerosmith fans than Motley Crue fans. I don't know.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
And if I'm wrong, uh-oh, there might be a rant alert. If I'm wrong about this, then someone tell me why Aerosmith is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and Motley Crue isn't.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. And somebody tell me while The Rock here keeps calling Neil Peart.
I'm unaware what you're talking about.
Did you say your underwear doesn't know what I'm talking about?
I'm unaware of what you're talking
Oh,
about.
you
Did you
know
say,
what?
wait, did you say something?
You know what it is? There's air going in. So sometimes, you got a
Well,
little
wait. Is that a tooth joke?
you
Okay, just making sure.
you got a little vent hole. That's what it is. It's an exhaust vent.
It's called bad. This hooligan has a little bit bad luck. I get one tooth fixed, another one goes.
Dude, you can burp with your mouth closed and you have an exhaust system already. Aren't you always telling me to look at the positives?
Just because you got to pile on, just because you lose the Neil Peart thing.
No, I clearly won.
No, not even close.
I
You're not even
clearly won.
close. You're not even close.
Me and 50 million, 100 million, 200 million people agree with me, and you can't even find one. Your best friend in the entire world does not agree with you and thinks you are crazy for what you said.
Opinions vary.
Okay. All right, folks. That's what we got. Rock, you got anything you want to add to this very interesting, mind-numbing,
Like I said,
analytical numbers episode?
I mean, the reason that I find it interesting is I don't think I've ever been to a concert that wasn't full. I mean, I've been to a lot of concerts. I used to collect ticket stubs. I've seen a lot of bands in concert. Never saw Motley Crue. One of the few '80s bands I never saw. Um, but it's mind boggling to me that a lot of, again, the venues had to be smaller, because to me those are very small numbers, and I can't see the band Kiss playing for those that many small numbers. It's just it was interesting going through this.
Look, all the small numbers pre-Alive One, I can understand. The Love Gun tour blows me away, and the fact that the what I had always known as the Shed tour with Kiss and Motley Crue being number one. If Psycho Circus was number one, it would not shock me. If the reunion tour was number one, it definitely wouldn't have shocked me. If the end of the road tour was number one, it would not have shocked me. The fact that it's a co-headlining tour with Motley Crue and I saw them at a Shed, it
Mm.
kind of shocks me. Now, if it was a Shed tour, maybe it was only a 2 or 3 month tour. There were less play. Like, there's a lot of variables here. And also, Unmasked tour shocks me too. A tour that they didn't tour America, like that kind of blows my mind. I mean,
It's interesting.
I don't know the answer to this, but I know that Victor has said on this show that Kiss was never that big in Europe. The stats show a little something different. I mean, it's only one tour, and I don't know how many times they went to Europe, but I'm guessing.
I know Kiss was big in Japan.
Yeah, well, yeah, they've been to Japan like 7 or 8 times, but that's that's probably in the rest of the tour numbers. And I don't know that Budokan is that big, but that's a question that
It's
I
it's it's
probably
just
should know before we got on here, but I
well,
don't know.
it's interesting from a perspective of, again, we come from the New Jersey, New York area, and just thinking about it from a perspective of, if the numbers are down, just how KISS is perceived in different areas of the country as far as the
Yeah.
numbers go. It's interesting.
Yeah, I can tell you that in 2025, if if things if things were the way they are in 2025 in like the 80s, I would have went to other places
Yeah, right, because it's
to
too
get
expensive.
better tickets. I mean, I can tell you right now, I was like 11, 12, 13 years old, and my older brother, yes, the legend of my older brother, he was dropping me off to sleep out in the cold overnight to get concert tickets, and we still weren't getting any good concert tickets because they were all gone.
But they were
Be-
cheap when we got them.
yeah, they were cheap, but you had to jump through hoops and sleep in the cold on the sidewalk overnight to get tickets. Ain't nobody do that
I
anymore.
mean, and now concert tickets are so, I mean, it's a conversation for another day, but concert tickets are so expensive. In our area, they're so expensive. I don't know, again, for other areas of the country, but this area, it's insane.
I'm sure it's a little different, but I'm sure it's not that much different because that's how these bands are making money. Like you don't make any money off of record sales anymore. It's a shame. We did it to ourselves.
Right.
I mean, look, I use a streaming service. I've said it over and over again. I'm a Spotify listener, but every time we do that and don't buy the CD or the record or for that matter, even the 8 track, which I'm sure they're coming out with these days.
No, we the fans changed the business forever.
Yeah. And we're paying for it
Right.
in how much we have to pay for concert
Yeah,
tickets.
it's cyclical, comes back.
Yep. Or for those $75 t-shirts at a concert.
Can you spell cyclical?
Can I spell it? Nope, I can't spell it. But that makes me warm and fuzzy inside because I know you can't spell it.
I'm not even going to try.
That's
I
very
went to the same
smart.
school you did, bub.
Yeah. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, please leave us a review. And if you just found us, check out our past episodes. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel and you like this episode, please consider hitting the like button, just like him, and leaving us a comment. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes, just like him. And check out these episodes right here. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for supporting us. And don't forget, if it's too loud, you're too old. Peace out, Hooligan Nation.